Hello, hello. We're just waiting for a few more people to come on, and
I
we'll get
see it
started.
on. I got it.
Nice.
Yep, seeing it here. I love Damien's Mate 40 Pro thumbnail. It's so good. Wow.
That is very good. I didn't see that
And
until just now. That's really good.
It looks like an
And-
iPod, though.
an iPod.
Yeah.
What is this?
It's the camera bump on the.
Oh
Mate
yeah,
40.
yeah. It looks good. It's finally symmetrical, and it's one way to do a symmetrical bump.
Yeah. Or you could go the OnePlus 8T Cyberpunk, whatever.
Which is a
that
good.
thing is stupid.
No, it's a good idea. It
It's a
adds
waste.
stability. No, it adds stability.
Just put
Okay.
put the sensors in the middle.
Okay. We'll actually, I do want to talk about that in the context of the Pixel 5 impression. So let's save that
Okay.
for a hot moment. That's going to be fun. But okay, there's quite a few people here now. So hello, welcome to Alphabet Scoop 103, the weekly podcast from 9 to 5 Google about everything that is happening in Google and Android and Pixel phones and all of that. So this week, we've had all three of us have had some time to live with the Pixel 5, and yeah, it's considered this long-term, well, maybe not long-term, but used very heavily over the past few days. And so I think I've definitely at the point where I know the ins and outs of this device. And I think a high level stance is that the Pixel 5 is an exercise in compromise, which Damien had for his UK review. But yeah, Ben, do you want to start us off on what do you think of the Pixel 5?
I think it's a very, very well done phone. It's simple, which is a good thing, and it works. Like the main phone I've been using for the past few weeks has been the Fold 2 because it's really hard to pull you away from that phone. But other phones have come through, and I try to use them. It's hard to do it. The Pixel has actually found a way into my daily routine, so I enjoy it quite a lot.
Yeah. Kyle, how about you? What's your opening statement on this device?
Well, coming from the Pixel 3, it feels nice. Does it feel faster? No, but I didn't really need a speed upgrade from the Pixel 3. I just needed my battery to be improved. So coming from 2 generations ago to today, it's camera upgrades, it's comparable speeds, and it's ridiculous battery, which is really all I could ask for.
Oh, that's a good point. You came from the Pixel 3. I actually came from the Pixel 4a, since that was announced in August. So I've been using that full time, and I don't. This might be a bit controversial, but in terms of the delightful phone of the two, I kind of prefer the Pixel 4a in terms of how light it is. Like from a physical standpoint, it's I prefer the body of the Pixel 4a so much more than the Pixel 5. There is a heft that I forgot that flagship phones come with, and yeah, I prefer the Pixel 4a. It feels like, I guess with the Pixel 5, I don't see why it is slightly heavy. I don't get the materials justification. for why it's slightly heavier, especially since that metal body is being hidden by this bio-resin plastic coating. So what do the two of you think of starting with the hand feel?
I kind of prefer a little bit more heft. Like I don't want my phones to feel hollow, which the Pixel 4a kind of does. So yeah, I like the way the 5 feels. It's you can feel it in your pocket. You can feel that it's there, which I prefer. And even though it is the bioresin covering the metal, so you can't really feel the metal as much, it does still feel like a slightly more premium phone.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Like especially when the discussion of twistability, as it were, came into play. Like, oh, can you twist a Pixel 4a? Yeah, definitely, because it's plastic. Can you twist a Pixel 5? No, because it's aluminum. Like, yes, it's plastic on the outside, but that aluminum does still shine through as far as build quality and just like how solid it feels in the hand, I guess, but not heavy kind of solid, just like sturdy, I guess is a better word.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, it feels like a flagship phone in the way that hefty things feel expensive and more premium. So the coating, personally, I after a few days, a week, I feel like it feels like construction paper to me. That's the material I keep going back to. It feels like premium construction paper, maybe cardstock a bit. It it doesn't feel like plastic, to Google's great credit, but it also doesn't feel like any other material I'm familiar with on the phone.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, if you give me my pick, I still think that the Pixel 4 was a better feeling phone. Like that's my preference.
Absolutely. In terms the Pixel 4a and the Pixel 4 and the Pixel 3, I would say the glass backs gave off a very identical feel to them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the minority, but I still think the Pixel 4, the 4 and the 4 XL were like the peak of where the Pixel has been so far. Like I think it's the best feeling phone because it gets the glass right and then it gets the matte textures right.
I
And I hope they go back to that when they eventually go back to glass, but whatever.
I don't think I think they came to the Pixel 4 design too quickly. Like the Pixel 2 to Pixel 3 was a gradual increment, and I feel like they tried a lot of new ideas with the Pixel 4. Like in a way, it would have made sense if this Pixel 5 came first, and then they followed it up with the Pixel 4 in terms of like introducing people to change, and in terms of what the Pixel brand is. I think they went a stark distance.
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. It seemed like the Pixel 5 seems like a successor, like at least in design, it seems like a successor. It's almost like the line went Pixel 3, Pixel 3a, Pixel 4a, Pixel 5. But that's how the design iteration went. Just skip the 4 altogether. Then 4 would come now with those strong black the black bezel or whatever.
Mm. Yeah. So yeah, that's our general feelings about the hardware, but internally, internally. So I know Ben, you enjoyed going back to the Pixel 5's camera to take pictures of your lovely dogs,
Oh
and
my god, yes.
yeah,
No,
it's go ahead. Sorry.
it's night and day. It really is to me. Like, the Galaxy Fold is my main phone right now, and it has a good camera, but it's just the Pixel gets it right so much more than anything else. Because I switch between phones constantly, and nothing matches it to me, which I think is just a testament to what Google's been doing, especially since they're still using a 4-year-old sensor.
Yeah, I think it's underappreciated. It's the Pixel's camera. It's significant. It's good, reliable, highly competitive camera. It's forgotten as an advantage, and yeah, it's always a reliable thing for Google to fall back on or excel at. I'm actually curious at your impressions, Kyle, going from the Pixel 3's camera to the Pixel 5. I know they're identical, but have you picked up anything from having a second lens?
No, I don't care for the ultra wide. I haven't taken an ultra wide photo yet. I think I may have used the ultra wide when I turned on stability because I think that's part of the process, video stability that is. But no, it just hasn't really come through for me. I do feel the performance hit to how quickly photos are processed due to the lack of neural core, visual core. But I will say it. I feel like I'm taking pictures. The actual like process of capturing the photo feels faster on the Pixel 5. Like the startup of the camera app into tapping the shutter and capturing the shot feels fast, even if the processing takes a bit longer.
That double going from the Pixel 3, that double the RAM advantage is absolutely significant.
Oh yeah, night and day. Yeah.
So to touch on wide angle a bit, how is Google's implementation of the wide angle compared to other phones, Ben?
It's kind of a double-edged sword, really. It's nice that it's not as distorted at the edges because it's not as wide, but it also feels less useful because it's not as wide.
Yeah. Do you think that was a trade-off? That was a purposeful quality trade-off. I would say that Google likes to have a high bar, high experience with the camera. Or do you think that, what do you think the reasoning behind it was? That purposeful
Yeah,
trade-off?
I think it was because of the distortion. Because a lot of times when phones have ultra wide cameras, that's the first thing people complain about is that the edges are distorted, and that's just not an issue with the Pixel. But I don't know. It just feels like I wanted an ultra wide in a Pixel, but I feel like just dumping the telephoto and saying here's an ultra wide that's not really all that wide was not the trade-off that should have been made.
Yeah, that's very true. And I'm personally I think they should have stuck with a telephoto lens, especially in this pandemic era where we're taking pictures from further away. I think it makes so much more sense to do that. But I do hope the decision to go wide wasn't a market reaction versus they having an opinion to why people want a wide angle.
I think the fact that they ditched the telephoto makes it very clear that it was just a reaction to people wanted that on the Pixel 4.
I'm going to disagree because I think the real reason for there being an ultra wide is specifically for the video stabilization features. I think that was an intentional choice on their part.
I could see that. I think we can all agree, though, that there should have just been both.
Yes.
Big time. Especially I mean, I guess they did it to save money, but I feel like they could have had different camera modules on the 4A 5G and the 5. Put the 3 cameras on the 5, put the 2 cameras on the 4A 5G, call it done.
If they wanted to save money, they shouldn't have done millimeter wave.
Yeah, which none of us have experienced. I'm on the West Coast, Ben is on the East Coast. Kyle, the Gulf Coast. Yes, that's what it's called.
It is.
Yes, okay. Never mind. But anyways, yeah, it's that component, which is $100 literally. Yeah, that's this could have been a cheaper phone. It could have been a better selling phone, maybe. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself there. But on the idea of 3 modules, 3 cameras, I don't know what Google's design language for 3 cameras would be on their current square bump, which I have to say is it doesn't stick out as much on the Pixel 5 compared to the Pixel 4, and that is like a big advantage in my opinion in terms of not getting it caught on anything, especially when you're not
it is
using a
nice.
case.
I think there's room.
Yeah, I think all the
at the bottom there's a small sensor. Maybe that could be moved to a different corner and put an actual camera sensor there.
Yeah, you could just push I think it's the spectral sensor. You could just push that up on the opposite side of the microphone and then put the camera there. It might make it slightly bigger, but it would probably be fine.
Or Google could pull out the Nexus 6P's visor design and
I did
put it
like that.
in a straight line. Don't tell me Huawei owns that. Do they own that design element? I hope they don't.
Probably.
But yeah, I would think it adds a great amount of stability to the phone. And on the Pixel 5, even though it's not as thick, it still moves. And to go on a tangent, there's this OnePlus phone this week, the Cyberpunk edition, that has a faux camera bump that spans the entire width of the phone. And I think that's genius for phone stability.
I stand by my headline. It's unnecessary.
It's unnecessary, but it adds a useful feature to people.
And Google could do it well by having it be card shaped. It would fit their theming.
Hey, card shaped.
It's just weird when the cameras are all on one side. Like if it's full width and the cameras are, evenly spaced throughout that, sure. But it serves no purpose if it's just all the cameras are bunched up on this side, and then here we just made the bump bigger and put a logo on the other side.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
To be fair, also the camera bump on the 8T is not big. It's no bigger than what it was on the Pixel 4.
That's fair.
If not, yeah, I think it's probably slimmer than that.
I will admit though that if Google did this, used that sort of camera bump design, it wouldn't look googly.
No, probably not. It has to be that Oh, can they still do the visor and have it fit into their branding? Yeah, that's a bit curious.
I don't know.
Ironically, the visor would have made so much sense with the grass shade from the Pixel 3 and earlier. But now they've definitely gone in another direction. And I miss the shade too. It's now their signature thing to distinguish the back is this square camera bump, and it's not doing it for them. I think they could have something unique if they went back to the visor. Heck, make it a marketing point about design or something.
I mean, I liked it on the 4. I liked it on the 4 because the camera bump matched the rail. On the 5, it doesn't, which just makes it look more generic. But on the 4, it stood out.
Yeah, it definitely looked like part of the corner piece. It's something that Samsung is rumored to be doing on the Galaxy S21, I would say.
Oh god, that's so stupid. It looks so bad.
It reminds me of the HTC days, like the Desire HD or something. Like big chunky boy on the side.
Is it 2x2 or 2x3?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I think they have 3 on the normal S20 line, but I don't even care about the look of it. It's just that's a durability nightmare. You're making the camera glass part of the corner of the phone. It's so dumb. And you can't even effectively put a case on that to protect it because it's going to cover up part of the camera glass, which is going to mess with the camera. It's just ridiculously dumb.
Yeah, how the case is going to work for that? I really don't know how the cases are going.
There were pictures that came out. It's really dumb.
Yeah, this is where we're going with phone designs. I don't know, is Samsung getting a bit more generic?
Samsung pushing the envelope in a general sense. This is pushing the envelope with that, and also pushing the envelope with the Z series.
engineering one, but like with the flagship series, it's at the same time a phone is a phone. It's a rectangle, but
Oh yeah, look at that. That does look weird.
yeah,
It's
Oh, okay.
so dumb. I don't
Yeah,
like
it's
it.
not protected at all.
I don't. It's just I don't like it at all.
If that hits a
Yeah.
corner, it's done. It's toast.
yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I think with the our last like physical hardware impression of the Pixel has to do with the gap. It started last month when the first buyers noticed there was a screen and body gap. Um, it the variance there was a lot of variance in the issues that people were encountering with how big the gap was, how noticeable the gap was. So, do either of you have gaps on your phones?
Not at all.
Yeah, nothing beyond what I would expect on any phone. Like every phone's gonna have like a little seam. That's all I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have a gap on an accentuated gap on the bottom right corner of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so much so that it feels like I don't know. Comparing left and right, I can if I thumb the corner, I definitely feel like it's coming. That it could be pried off, and it is. I'm definitely seeing dirt and dust there, as somebody who uses it caseless. So not a fan. And we've seen teardowns of this. So look, the big thing that Google looks to have addressed with the Pixel 5 industrial design is two things. Unlike the Pixel 4, there's one unibody, so there's only it's only the screen that comes off. The back is not a separate piece, so I think that's definitely a response to those people on the Pixel 4 who had the back panel come off. And the second thing is they added clips that you have to first pry off before you can remove the screen. So in addition to an adhesive gasket on the corners, you have this clip mechanism. So the screen won't come flying off or anything. So they definitely went in, it seems like, to improve the hardware design. But it is bothersome that there is a gap. And Google's comment saying that this is a normal part of the design that won't impact the IP68 watt and dust resistance. I'm very curious on. There's no reason. I don't think like the ideal design of the phone has a gap. It just doesn't seem like they want to do. And it does seem like Google is receptive to returning devices to people who go to them and say, I have this gap. But it's not a good look.
I think what messed them up was just the way they worded it and saying it's a part of the design. It seems like it's more of a variation in the manufacturing process.
Yeah.
And they should have just gone with that because everyone has that. Like, what was it? Like the Pixel 3a had the speakers that were slightly different.
Yeah.
And I know there was a Samsung phone that had something that was always like a little different. Yeah, it's part of the manufacturing process. Stuff happens. It's fine.
Okay.
As long as it doesn't affect the phone.
It definitely doesn't. But is this, and maybe this is a question meant to guide my decision, is this something you'll return if this happened on your unit?
If it was bad enough to where every time I pulled it out of my pocket there was dust in there, yeah, I would probably ask for an exchange. But if it's just a little tiny gap that you can barely even tell is there, I wouldn't care.
Yeah, it doesn't seem by comparison to the issues that people have had at launch with past Pixels. This seems minor.
Yeah. So, and honestly, this seems to be the only hardware thing going on compared to previous generations, where I feel like there was one or a handful going into after people receiving the devices. So again, this is another steady improvement into Google hardware.
Crazy
But-
that that's the bar.
Yeah, it is crazy.
There's
That's
no
the bar.
issues. They're doing great. There's no major flaw. There's no
No major
major issues. It's a great year.
I don't know. They're 5 years old, and the hardware efforts are properly 5 years old. And I guess this is them on the road to making mass market products. And yeah, I guess that's it. Speaking of attracting people to buying it, they are doing Google, in the US at least, the Google store is doing a very curious. Oh, I have to actually say this out loud. Pixel 5 $ 5G or 5 grand sweepstakes, where basically anybody that buys a Pixel this month will be entered to win a $5,000 Google Pay payout. 5 people will be chosen.
A lot of qualifiers there, though. Like, for one, you don't actually have to buy the Pixel 5. For two,
No.
if you bought the Pixel 5 before the contest starts, you can still enter the same way that everybody else can, which is by sending in a postcard.
Nobody does that. Nobody does that.
That's a hint.
That means
you
your odds
should
are pretty
do that.
good.
If you're listening to this, you should do that.
Oh man, the odds are pretty. Ooh, that's the odds are pretty good. I didn't think about that in terms of the context of Google's hardware sales in the US. Huh.
Oh no! I mean, I'm sure there are people out there who intentionally seek out and enter these contests. So I'm not saying that, like, in general your odds are good, but could be alright.
Yeah. But then again, like the mail-in component is a high bar to participating, I think, versus like an online form or whatever.
I think the interesting part is that the money is in Google Pay, which is kind of limiting. Like, it's not a huge deal, but there are a lot of places that are cut out by that restriction.
That is
Yeah.
hundreds of trips to Starbucks for me right there.
Yeah, I think what they're doing is they're doing like a debit card. You're getting a debit card kind of situation. A prepaid debit card, maybe.
Well,
But
it says it's just being deposited into Google Pay.
how though? That's not possible.
Yeah, you could.
So
It's just like how you send money to people in Google Pay.
Oh, you think
I
it's
guess
Google
you
Pay
could-
Send?
Yeah, I guess you could potentially put it in your bank account from there, but I don't know. We'll have to ask who wins.
Oh wow, I didn't consider it being Google Pay Send.
If you're
Which-
listening to this podcast in a couple months and you won the contest, please reach out.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. This is the first time Google has done a sweepstakes of this scale, maybe. I don't know what to call it. They're definitely trying to attract the Black Friday crowd. And yeah, I don't know how many people this is going to attract. So maybe your odds are good of winning, as Ben said. But I don't know. They're not advertising this yet this week, which in a sense makes sense. Why not? But yeah, it's a bit weird.
Yeah, well, I'll agree with you there, because it seems weird to want to appeal to that second wave who is going to get the discount, rather
Yes.
than appealing to the first wave of early adopters who should be rewarded for this kind of thing.
Absolutely. It's how they're not including any more perks in their phones.
Now, honestly, at this point, I think we know for a fact Google does not care about that first wave, because every year they've done stuff like this. They've done something like right after people get their first wave of phones. They do a sale, they do a promo, they do something.
Yeah, this definitely speaks to Google shifting their launch schedule. I think the summer would be particularly ideal. Maybe that's bad for marketing reasons, but like smack dab in the middle of summer, that used to be occupied by the iPhone. Like with the iPhone 3GS, iPhone 4, I think that changed. But I think they should go earlier in the year.
when kids actually have money during the summer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Kids buying pixels. That's a headline. So yeah, so the final question is what is the upgrade path here for most people?
In what sense?
If you have the Pixel 1, the original Pixel, and the Pixel 2, which is about to lose software support at the end of the month, I think the Pixel 5 is a clear reason to upgrade to the Pixel 5. As a Pixel 2 and earlier user, I think the Pixel 3 is would you say you could hold on one more year, or is
In the
using
personal sense?
in the
No.
personal sense? Yes. No. Why
My
is that?
battery was, I don't want to say my battery was failing, but it wasn't lasting long enough, and my USB port was failing, which was more the problem. I would not have held on to the Pixel 3 any longer. I wanted to, believe me, it's a great phone. I like the way it feels. It has better, what do they call it? Hand taste.
Oh my
Hand
God.
Better hand taste.
Wait,
than the Pixel
I'm
5.
not aware of this. What is
It's
this?
LG, the LG Velvet that they
Oh.
put in their launch press release about that. It's the worst I've ever heard, but also the best thing. It's
Instead
LG.
Of,
It
instead of
is
hand
LG.
feel, it's hand taste.
Hand taste.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a gross phrase, but I love it. I would, if I could have held on to the Pixel 3, I would have, but the
For
Pixel
definite
5 is at least a side grade, if not a full-on upgrade, just from having the additional RAM, the 90 hertz, and the incredible battery life. Those three alone are enough to call it an upgrade, even if performance, which doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The
performance. The performance. I think the RAM is the biggest thing. I know some people are noticing processor slowdowns or processor differences between the Pixel 4 and the Pixel 5, but I think the RAM is why you want to upgrade, especially in the modern era.
Yeah, so far as I've ever heard, the Pixel 4 is you'd be downgrading in performance to go from the Pixel 4 to the Pixel 5 in any metric.
Yeah, it kind of does feel like that. I mean, I think the only place you'd notice that, like on a regular basis, is the camera. I feel like I noticed the processing takes much longer on the 5 than it did on the 4. But it's negligible. I've been like, for people who have asked me, I've had people with a 4 ask me if they should get the 5, and of course I tell them no, it's not really worth it unless they're like really that dissatisfied with the battery. And as far as going from, like, if you're going from a 2 or a 1, it's absolutely worth it. And from a 3, yeah, it's probably worth it, but you also have another year to wait if you want.
Yeah. That's the gist of it. So that is the Pixel 5 from us. It's a solid phone. That's basically it. There's no real reason not to get it in terms of quality wise and all that. But that is the Pixel 5, at least for the time being. And I want to jump onto Google's other significant product line, which is the Nest Thermostat. The new Nest Thermostat, which officially launched on Thursday or Friday last week. And Ben, you're one of the first people to live with it. So how is the new Nest Thermostat?
It is a Nest Thermostat. Like, there's really not that much to say about it. It's a lot like the old ones. I was using a Nest Thermostat E. I don't really feel like anything's changed significantly with the new one, except for the way you schedule things. Like, on the Nest Thermostat E, you could set it to a specific mode. It would stay on that mode, and it would change based on, if you're home, if you're how you set it, it wouldn't really. I don't know. I think I used it a little differently than most people too. But the new one, it's like at setup, it makes it very clear you're supposed to set up a schedule, set up home and away, set up all this stuff, so that way it can automate you changing the temperature. And it works. Like I have it set to, warm up a little bit in the morning while we're getting up in the morning because it's cold out now. And then, shut off for most of the day because I prefer it to be a little colder. And then I have it turn on later in the evening when it's getting colder outside so it can stay a little bit warmer inside, and turn down at night. So it does its job. It is a very simple product. I don't think anyone who has a Nest thermostat benefits from getting this one, because the older learning thermostats did more, because you could set a schedule, but you could also set it to just learn your schedule, and this one cannot do that. And the Nest Thermostat E does basically everything this one does, except this one looks a little nicer. That's where I stand on it. It's a really good thermostat for new people who want a thermostat. It's not for people who have already had a Nest thermostat.
Which is exactly the audience they're targeting.
Yeah,
and go ahead.
No, I was just, and $130. If this thing had been available when I bought my house last year, I wouldn't have bothered with the E because it's such a good deal.
Yeah. Except that, that was then. But I guess now you're starting to see the Nest Thermostat E is being discontinued for regular people, but it is being discounted. So I know you haven't had a chance to do your review yet, but where would you push people if it's at very similar price points and you happen to get a Nest temperature sensor, which people are bundling?
No, I would still get the new one. I don't think the temperature sensors really give you enough benefit. Just from what I've heard of people who do use them, it doesn't sound like it really gives you enough benefit to be worthwhile. And the new one, it's better integrated with the Google Home app, which is Google's path forward. It's very simple. It's very good looking. Once it's installed, it looks great. It looks much better than the old one did, and it gets little things right. Like all of the Nest thermostats have the ability to turn on the screen when you walk by instead of just having them on constantly. And the old ones, my thermostat E, I would walk past it, and I would be past it by the time it turned on.
Nice.
Or I would have already gotten my hand up to turn it on before it turned on. But this new one, it turns on as I walk down the hall. It's little things like that where I really like this new one.
Very much thanks to the radar-based Soli sensor.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think anyone should bother buying a used thermostat E or a discounted one. I don't see the benefit in that. I mean, if you can get one for $80, go for it. But if it's going to be $100 plus, just get the new one. You're going to get a cleaner look. You're going to get the software is very, very good looking. They did a very good job, and the display is sharper, which is nice.
How is using the dial? The dial in
really
quotations.
Like the actual spinning dial on the thermostat E. That is something I genuinely miss now, but it works. I mean, how with a smart thermostat that's on a schedule, you're really not going to touch it all that often.
Not to mention the assistant integrations, the Google Home integration. Wouldn't it be far easier to just change it from your phone than get up and walk over to a physical device?
I've touched it all of twice since I installed it earlier this week, and it works. It takes a second to get used to, but the touch the touch area is easy enough to get used to. It's very sensitive. I have no real complaints. I liked the spinning dial. It was more, satisfying to use, but this one works just fine. and it made the price lower, which I think is important. So all around, I think this thing is a win. I'm hoping to review it like next week, maybe. But yeah, it's a great product.
So from this initial impressions of sorts, it seems like you're not going back to the Thermostat E.
No, I won't. Part of that just being, because this is the new thing. I want to keep tabs on it, but there's really no like. I got used to the Thermostat E, and I'm, like the other night, my Google Assistant routine was set still to change it from the summer, and the Thermostat E ignored that because I normally have it on Eco during the winter. But the new one does not have that mode, so it set the temperature up real high, and the heat kicked on as soon as I set up my routine for the night. So it's more of a getting used to it for me, but there's really no big benefit to the E over this.
That is so interesting.
Yeah, I just I don't see any reason to go back.
So much so that it seems, I know, like you were saying, that existing Nest buyers, Nest Thermostat owners shouldn't get this one. That's definitely the case with the Learning Stat people. But the way you're talking about from a Nest Thermostat E perspective, that maybe those of existing owners might appreciate the improved SORI based wake detection and the immediate integration with the Google Home app. So that looks to be an interesting upgrade path for Google to hone in on.
Yeah, it could be, but I don't know. The Thermostat E was already integrated with the Google Home app. I don't see any reason for someone who has any Nest Thermostat, unless it's in bad shape, to spend $130 to make a lateral move. Like, if you really care about the aesthetic of your thermostat that much, go for it. But that's the only reason.
Gotcha. So, as a prospective buyer, Kyle, which color are you getting?
I'm looking at the fog actually, and one thing I wanted to note that because it didn't come up in our value discussion is that a lot of power companies around at least in the United States will give you a bill credit if you show them a receipt for having bought a Nest thermostat. Like my power company will give me $100 off of the $130 Nest thermostat. Like, yes, I think I will take advantage of that. Thank you. So
yeah, well, if you can do that, yeah, go for it.
But that's probably only, I presume that is only for first time buyers, where if you already have a Nest thermostat in your home, that wouldn't apply.
Could be.
So, if you're a first time prospective buyer like myself, it looks like a pretty solid deal, especially if your power company is willing to help you. But yeah, the fog looks like a good color, matches the aesthetic we got going in the house.
That's the black one, right?
No, that should be like the bluish, greenish, grayish one.
I haven't looked at the colors in a while.
I think fog's the name of the color. Now you got me second guessing. Why would you do this?
I mean, I have the black. I got the black one from Google. It looks nice. It's a thermostat.
Yeah,
there's really not that much to say.
Yeah,
but you just get whatever matches your house the best. Oh yeah, fog is it's like the greenish blue. Yeah, that would look nice.
I do have a question though. So the touch is all around the outside, right? This on the outer bowl.
It's only on one side.
Yes, okay. There's a physical printed line on the range.
Yeah, there's a print, but there is no texture. It's just the one.
Sorry,
it's on the right side of the dial, the invisible dial. It's just that right side. There's a touch surface that's.
Would you call it a touchpad?
No, because it's like what the Google Home Max had. It's a touch strip.
Yeah.
I wish it was a little bit bigger, because I have had a few times where I'm scrolling a menu and I run out of touch surface before I've finished the menu.
Ooh, that's a
But
shame.
it's fine. Like, I have so few complaints about this thing that I have so few complaints. I don't have much to say that's negative about it.
Because one of the things I was noting, and especially in the pictures that you took, like before I understood exactly how the controls are done, it looked like oh man, I hope this isn't a touchscreen because it looks extremely reflective.
Oh, if it was a touchscreen, that would be a nightmare.
Because I just imagine like I'm gonna accidentally fumble by one time and leave a big fat thumbprint on it at some point.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not actually touch screen.
So that's an Nest Thermostat. You can look forward to the full review when it comes. So just a grab bag of stuff now. So the Nest Audio, which Kyle reviewed
Love
that thing. It was spotted last night that the meta tag of the Google Store page, as seen from Google search results, mentions using the Nest Audio along with the Chromecast at Google TV as a home theater sound system. And from what this sounds like, it will be the ability to set Nest Audios as the default audio output for the Chromecast at Google TV. And as Ben was noting last night, this is a long time feature request.
Yeah, people have been asking about this for a long time, and I get why they want it, especially like with the Google Home Max. I think that's where it would be more useful to me because that's the better sounding one. But it's a very good idea, and it's something that they should do for the simple fact that Apple does this with the HomePod.
Yes, and Amazon Alexa, I believe, too.
Not to my knowledge.
Fire TV?
Yeah, no, not to my knowledge. They also don't really have any that are like that kind of audio. Like, I don't think the normal Echo sounds as good as the Nest Audio is. Like, it's not that focus. But either way,
my question though is, how does it connecting? Is this a Wi-Fi sound or is this a Bluetooth sound?
Has to be Wi-Fi for the quality.
That's what I would think too, but at the same time, Bluetooth can sound good, especially if you keep it close by. But I don't know which one would have less delay.
Oh, it does. You can use the Echo.
Yeah, I literally just found that too. Just the new one though, the fourth.
Yeah,
gen.
the newer ones. But yeah, that's why that seemed familiar to me. But yeah, Nest, the two of you are Nest Audio users. How do you think this would actually work in practice, quality-wise?
Well, I like the Nest Audio. It does well for music, but it's not well enough. There's just some details that are lacking. Some like the big thing that I noticed was like harmonies in songs were a lot harder to pick out. So I imagine that would translate to games and such the same way. And it would almost be a requirement that you'd be hooking it up to two, because there's no way that you're going to use a single Nest Audio speaker as your home stereo system. So.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. My issue with it, honestly, is not so much the sound quality, because I think it's good enough for most people. And the real point of this is to kind of kill two birds with one stone. You know, just you buy a couple of Google Assistant speakers, but you also get a nice soundbar for your TV. But I think the problem is it would only work with the Chromecast. It wouldn't work with PlayStation or Xbox or anything else plugged into your TV. Which I think most people at this point have at least two things hooked up to their TV.
Yeah, Google's answer would be to use Stadia, wouldn't it?
Which, yeah, that's great, but like, I mean, I still have to use yeah, it's just not. It's not realistic. I still use a Roku for a few like very niche apps, and I still have a PlayStation in my office. So it's like it would work, but it wouldn't work universally. So I would still want to get a soundbar. I would just love to see more Google like Android TV soundbars. The only one that's ever been is the JBL Link Bar, and that was a great solution. It was just heavily delayed, overpriced, and slow. So
Yeah.
just make a new one of those. That's not any of those things.
What you were saying about the Home Max, the question is whether Google brings that capability to the Home Max. I don't think anybody expects the Nest the Nest Minis to get this capability. That would be interesting, to say the least.
I
But-
mean, those still would sound better than TV speakers.
Yeah.
Really?
And
I use
more
Nest
for-
Minis out in my sunroom. I use a pair of them, and they sound really good. They sound
Yeah.
way better than like my TV does.
Ooh, that would be a funny setup and the most realistic.
affordable. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see people doing that 100%. I think it'd be cool, thinking about it now. If like they brought back the Home Max and stuck Android TV in there, that'd be great.
Oh wow.
But
I'm
that's
sure-
a pipe. That's a pipe dream.
It would
That's
have to be called a Chromecast.
that
The,
naming would be
the Chromecast Max with Google TV. Oh, jeez.
the Chromecast Max. No, I feel like it would be like Nest Audio Max with Chromecast TV. I don't know. I think it would be like the Chromecast would be a with along with Google TV for an insane naming scheme.
There's no way that it doesn't make sense in Google's product line. There's no way to squeeze it in. No matter how much the product itself makes sense, it doesn't make sense in their product lines because there's no easy name to give it.
Yeah, that but I think many existing Home Max owners, and ahead of what I can only presume is the upcoming fire sale, wink wink, I think that would be a great Home Max get for that feature to come. It would be,
Please don't tempt me. I have so many speakers.
I mean, what is like 2-3 more, or I don't know, just to line up your entrance into your home?
Oh my god.
Something like that. Just
Did they
something like
do a
that.
fire sale for the home?
No, that just went into oblivion.
I
Literally.
can't imagine the Home Max would be any different.
But they must have a lot of those still. I don't know how many they made, but that feels like they have some to get rid of. Yeah. So yeah, I think that is it for the week. Thank you everyone for joining us. We're going to be recording on Thursdays, sorry, going forward. And we should have this audio up tomorrow morning to listen on your favorite podcasting platforms like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and of course you can listen on the site. Thank you as always to Ben and Kyle for joining me, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.